Retro for Windows 8 is supposed to
And
arrive.
we're recording.
Also, the Oppo
Cool.
N1 goes on sale, $599 or €449. And Saturday, December 14th, Ingress, Google's augmented reality game, will be open to all Android users. That's a brief look at the week ahead. Back to you, Leo.
You and Chad got me into. Thank you, Tom. You and Chad got me into Ingress. In fact, Chad sent me a beta, but it would involve too much walking.
I love that.
I don't want a video game that makes me walk around. I want one that I can go like this and sit and play. So the idea is, and it's not good in Petaluma. That's the other.
No, you need something like
so
San Francisco.
the idea is they take public buildings and location information, and you go and you're supposed to hack the building.
It's like capture the flag, but in real life.
And are you Resistance or?
I am Resistance.
What's the other one?
Enlightenment.
Enlightenment. I'm Resistance too.
Yeah. Just 2 days ago, I was walking around the Palace of Fine Arts in San Francisco at 4 in the morning.
See, this is why it's a problem.
That's the addiction.
Somebody told me it's best on bicycle because you can get around.
I have seen 2 people ingressing on bicycles slam into poles. So please walk.
Also, I'm surprised nobody's been arrested as a terrorist because what you do is you go up in front of government buildings with your phone and you start listening and talking, and it says things like, it says scary things like place to hack it.
I got talked to by the Park Service.
You did?
In Washington, D.C. We had this major event. One of the portals was the White House, but you could only get to it by putting your hand through the gate to get the GPS close enough to the building. So you had dozens of people doing this, and if they didn't turn the volume off on their phone, it was saying, target locked. And so you got people reaching through the gate of the White House.
Locked is not what you wanted to say.
That's smart.
SDC in our chat room says twice he's been accosted by police playing Ingress. So please, now that it's public, you look careful playing Ingress. It's interesting. Why did Google do this?
You know how much it's a game, but it gets them so much data from people's GPS devices about the maps, about where people congregate. They can actually figure out movement patterns of people and where they go. And people think it's just a game. For Google, that's actually big data.
Yeah.
It's a great idea.
Speaking of big data, Apple has purchased Topsy to, we think, $200 million, although some rumors that maybe it's a little bit more, a lot more than $200 million. Topsy was a data analytic company, Topsy Labs, that launched right about the same time as Twitter, and they have every tweet ever published. They have, it's called the fire hose.
They do a better job of letting you search Twitter than Twitter does of letting you search Twitter.
Why would Apple want Topsy Labs?
I think it was not just about social data, because I think that Apple, frankly, doesn't have
It's not their business.
It's not their business, and it's not that it isn't important, but Apple thinks about, software and how we can sell more devices. And so I think, I don't just think it's for the raw data. I think it's for the talent and the engineers and the expertise in thinking about software that goes beyond sort of software today. I mean, Apple has this, I think, a strategic challenge in that for many years, iTunes was the killer software that you needed, and that got you to buy an iPod, and then eventually an iPhone.
For day 19.
Apple's been investing in iCloud.
I think this number 10.
Sort of killer software platforms that you
Number
just
10.
log into, and that has an intense amount of loyalty, so that keeps you in the Apple ecosystem.
It doesn't work very well.
But it doesn't work very well, exactly. And I think, Apple doesn't have. To Apple, software and services are important in terms of engendering loyalty to hardware, and it needs new expertise in that area. And I think the team at Topsy is looking to them to help chart the next course.
It's puzzling to me because it isn't in Apple's wheelhouse in any way, or even in their core business in any way. Well, and you just have to look at Ping.
But it is. I mean, but it really is. There is a golden cow here in social networking.
I understand it's a good business, but it's not Apple.
No, not
11.
The business itself. Yeah. Because most of the tools for social networking have been decent at taking the fire hose of data off of Twitter, off of Facebook, and figuring out trends and influencers. One thing that Topsy was trying to do, and I think Apple, that's the reason why they bought them, is they were trying to get proactive. They were trying to tell you, you want to get your products in this person's hand. You want to get your event in this city, because this is where we see a chain reaction of social engagement. That's absolutely in Apple's business. That's how they sell their products.
So you're saying they're going to take it in effect, make it in-house, and use it for their retail.
This is their internal engine that says,
that's interesting.
this person needs to be using a MacBook, that person needs to be using an iPad, this person needs our new wearable tech because they're going to influence everybody.
That makes sense, actually, because it's clear retail is a big part of Apple's financial success.
I mean, the fact it's not in Apple's wheelhouse is probably a good reason for them to be acquiring companies like this. A lot of it comes back to big data. We know that that has never been a strength of Apple's. Examples such as Apple Maps are everywhere, and it therefore makes sense for them to acquire people who are good at that. It may not have that much to do with searching Twitter. The Topsy folks have proven they're really good at analyzing vast quantities of data and making sense of it.
They do sentiment analysis, I think, which is very tricky, where you're not merely saying there were 38 tweets about the Apple Store. You're saying of the 3,800 tweets about the Apple Store, 53% were happy.
That's the same reason I think it's unlikely that Microsoft will end up selling Bing, because Microsoft also needs to be able to understand vast amounts of data, and the closest thing they have to a team focused on that is the search people, and they're going to need that for Windows Phone, they'll need that for Windows 8, they'll need that for enterprise stuff too. Apple is the one company that's already good at that.
Right.
I think there's also to get to the merchandising potential of the data. I think it's less in terms of retail because Twitter signals or social media signals are probably only one signal, for whether you're going to buy a $2,000 computer. But also if you think of the iTunes and the App Store and solving discovery problems, like how do I find new apps and how does that keep me engaged in my device? And, Apple bought a search engine called Chomp a while ago for a lot less, but
it was about recommendations, so app recommendations, right?
It was, but the motivation and people who were on that team have taken on broader sort of data science recommendation roles within Eddie Q's organization within iTunes. So I'm not 100% sure if that's the case with Topsy, but I think it reminds me a little bit of that and that expertise. I think that we sometimes forget, while Apple does sell devices, the App Store has become just this ginormous ecosystem, and people complain about app fatigue and how do you get people to continue to buy new apps, and also music and video and all the other media within iTunes. So I can see Topsy playing a big role there too.
And I guess Apple's got cash to burn. It seems like they could have just hired Topsy, buy Topsy. That's what Topsy's business was.
Well, I mean, that's one of their core concepts. They want to own all the core technologies
Have it all in-house.
And so if that's going to be a core thing,
or maybe keep others from using it. If it's a good technology and Apple's retail could use it, or Apple's recommendation engines could use it, keep it out of the ecosystem so that others can't.
Of course, $200 million is the change in Apple's snack app. So
what's the interest on $150 billion of cash?
5.
It's got to be more than that a day, right?
A lot.
It's a day's income. It's nothing. It's like if I went out and spent $1.50 in a Starbucks. It's nothing.
This is Apple's version of an impulse buy.
Oh, I gotta have that. Oh, it's shiny. You could pay them $1,000 a month, or you could just buy them for $200 million. I'll take it. It's a deal. We'll amortize that in 100 years. I do want to talk more about Apple retail, about iBeacon, because all of a sudden it's like the world discovered iBeacon. Robert Scoble's been on the show many times going crazy about iBeacon. The problem is when Robert Scoble goes crazy about something, I usually go, okay, but really I should have paid attention because this is very interesting. And there's a reason why iBeacon is suddenly going to be a big, big deal. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Our show today brought to you by our friends at Squarespace.com. It's web hosting, yes, but it's also the best content management system and the web hosting together. And by making the two things interact like this, you get the best web hosting and the best content management system. Squarespace sites never go down, for instance, and we got a lot of traffic on our blog site this week, inside.took.tv. At no point was it unavailable because Squarespace, when there's more traffic to your blog, they put more bandwidth on it, and it's automatic, it's instantaneous, you'll never even notice the difference. And the content management system, it's so good, it's so elegant, it's so modern, it's always up to date. You never have to worry about security or updates because it's automatically up to date. I want you to try it. Just if you're interested and perhaps you want to, maybe you're looking for better hosting or you want to start a new site, maybe you want to do e-commerce. Squarespace has that too. Visit squarespace.com, click the Get Started button, and all you need to do, you don't need to give them a credit card or anything, it's
day 19 is done.
All of them are responsive. And by the way, that's momentum. I like that. That's a full bleed. That means
I'm
it goes all
tired.
the way to the edge of the screen.
I
You might
will
say, yeah, but what about
talk to you
mid-size
tomorrow,
screens? It
guys.
doesn't
Day
matter,
20.
because
Bye-bye.
even if it's a 27-inch screen.